Number 1. Force Lightning. Force Lightning is the official Darkseid trademark. It is one of the purest manifestations of the Darkseid's destructive power. It isn't just blue flashy electricity, it's pain, raw power, and domination channeled through the fingertips of someone who's mastered rage. And if you think it's just for stunning enemies, it's not even close. The most iconic moment was when Darth Sidious, also known as Emperor Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, tortured Luke Skywalker. He didn't just want to kill him. He wanted to make him suffer. Sidious drew it out and poured voltage into Luke until his bones shaked without control. It wasn't out of necessity. He was just trying to send a message that the dark side wasn't just stronger. It was ruthless and cruel. But Sidious wasn't the first to use this trick. Count Dooku, trained by Yoda, later on got corrupted by Darth Sidious, wielded lightning with such precision. In Attack of the Clones, he dished out just enough voltage to knock out Anakin and Obi-Wan without killing them. It goes farther than this, cause in Legends, Darth Bane, the master of the Rule of Two, once channeled it as a mass destruction tool to destroy multiple enemies in a single strike. And in Revenge of the Sith, Mace Windu took the full brunt of it, leading to that infamous window toss moment. This ability doesn't just cause physical pain, it attacks the body, shakes the spirit, and crushes the will to fight. Craziest part is the fact that very few Jedi can withstand it, and even fewer can redirect or absorb it without serious damage. Yoda once caught lightning with his bare hands, but even he admitted it was dangerous. Force Lightning isn't a basic force power, it's the mark of a master, a declaration that the wielder has fully embraced the dark side. Number 2. Force Choke or Grip. While lightning may be flashy and dramatic, Force Choke is silent, efficient, cold, and just as deadly. No Sith made this power more legendary than Darth Vader, and the wild part, bro didn't just use it in combat, he used it as a reminder to everyone who went out of line. A classic example is in A New Hope, where Vader choked Admiral Motti during a council meeting on Death Star for questioning the Force in front of everyone. He literally didn't have to move a muscle, just a hand movement, and he was gasping. In The Empire Strikes Back, he took it a step further when he choked someone through a screen, proving distance doesn't matter when the dark side is involved. It wasn't about rage. Vader's choke was cold, calculated dominance. It showed that he didn't need to raise a weapon or even his voice to command fear and obedience, but that was all just business. The scariest moment was in Revenge of the Sith when Vader choked Padme on Mustafar, the woman he claimed to love, nearly killing her without hesitation. That scene changed everything. What makes the power so terrifying isn't just the act itself, it's the message. Darth Vader wasn't the only one with this ability. Count Dooku used a cleaner and more tactical version during his duel with Obi-Wan and Anakin in Attack of the Clones. Dooku isolated Obi-Wan mid-fight, used Force Choke to lift and pin him against the wall, just long enough to slash him across the shoulder and leg. Just like that, he disabled a Jedi Master in seconds, without brute force, but with finesse. Classic Dooku. More advanced users took it even further, crushing lungs, snapping bones, and even lifting victims off the ground and ending their lives mid-air. There's also a technique called Crush, where choke is used on internal organs or bones. Both Darth Vader and Darth Malgus were both known to pull this off more than once. It's one of the most psychologically terrifying abilities because it demonstrates one thing clearly. If a Sith wants you dead, they won't even need to move. Classic Sith cruelty. Number 3. Force Drain. Force Drain lets a Sith literally suck the life out of their victims. Not just their strength, their very essence gets drained away. Darth Nihilus mastered this ability to a level that made him something entirely different than a person. He was already a Jedi, but the horrors of the Mandalorian Wars twisted him into a being of hunger. He could drain life from an entire planet, stripping it of all living things, not with weapons, not with armies, but with his presence. He did this to Qatar, a Miraluka colony world. In one instant, he wiped out an entire species of Force sensitives, leaving only Visas Mar behind. That moment cemented Nihilus not as a Sith Lord, but as a force of extinction. It's hard to grasp how extreme this is because the more life they take, the more powerful they become. It was a parasitic cycle where power feeds on death and death fuels power. Even in The Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine uses a smaller scale version of this when he drained the life energy from Rey and Ben Solo, like a car fueling itself. Drain became forbidden not because of how it kills, but because of what it does to the user. It creates a dependency, a hunger, that eventually replaces the person with the need itself. Force Drain goes beyond killing. It strips away your body, your power, your identity until not even your soul gets a chance to escape. Number 4. Essence transfer. Where drain consumes, essence transfer preserves. Death is usually the end of the story, but most Sith aren't scared of death. Not because they're brave, because they know how to cheat it. Essence transfer is the ultimate Sith survival technique. When a Sith dies, they force their spirit into another body, a clone, or a vessel. Anything that can hold their consciousness. Darth Ondidu was one of the earliest known masters of essence transfer. He feared death so much that he created dozens of tombs and protective vaults to hide his body. But his true escape plan was always the soul transfer. Darth Bane also attempted this at the end of his life, trying to force his essence into his apprentice, Darth Zana, basically to hijack her body and live on through her. But as his body collapsed, he pushed his soul into hers, hoping to overpower her mind and take control. She resisted really hard, and though it looked like she might have lost for a moment, she held her ground. He failed. One of the biggest examples is Darth Sidious himself. After Vader tossed him down the Death Star shaft in Return of the Jedi, Palpatine didn't just accept death. He clings to life by inhabiting a clone body on Exegol and eventually coming back in The Rise of Skywalker in a twisted, decaying version of himself, but still functional. There's a catch though. If the new host isn't strong enough in the Force, the Sith burns them out from the inside, and if they're too powerful, the Sith can lose control permanently. It's a dangerous move, no question, but for a Sith who's desperate to cheat death, any chance at survival, no matter how ugly, is worth taking. Because in the end, staying alive no matter how broken, twisted, or ugly is the Sith way. Number 5. Sith Alchemy. If the Sith weren't terrifying enough already, they rewrote the law of nature itself. Sith Alchemy is one of their oldest and most dangerous arts. It's dark magic fueled by the Force, driven by the hunger for power, the ability to manipulate flesh, bone, and life using the dark side. With it, they created twisted monsters, altered bodies, and even forged invincible weapons. Back in the Tales of the Jedi comics, Sith lords like Nagasato used alchemy to build entire armies of mutated beasts for the hyperspace war to overwhelm the Jedis. Some creatures had armored skin, others bled acid and fangs that could drain Force energy with every bite. One species, called the Leviathans, could literally eat the Force out of you. But it wasn't just beasts. Exar Kun, one of the most dangerous Sith in history, used alchemy to corrupt Jedi lightsabers, turning them into dark, unstable weapons. He even used it on himself, fortifying his body, enhancing his endurance, and surviving attacks that should have killed him. In Legends, Sidious also experimented on clone bodies using Sith alchemy, trying to perfect his vessels, making them stronger and more resilient. His creations were monsters, abominations, meant to house a dark spirit. And when we thought it couldn't go any deeper, Darth Plagueis took it to a whole new level. He tried to manipulate midi-chlorians themselves in Darth Plagueis, the novel, trying to force the creation of life. Alchemy wasn't just about new weapons, it was about bending reality into something that only the Sith could control. And honestly, there's nothing scarier than someone who couldn't just kill you, they could also remake you. Number 6. Force Rage. Force Rage is what happens when a Sith stops holding back. It lets the Sith weaponize their emotions, turning it into physical power. In battle, Force Rage increases strength, speed, and stamina and endurance beyond their limits, pushing the user into a berserker state. Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace gives a glimpse of this during his furious duel with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Bro was moving so calm and composed, but as soon as Qui-Gon went down, Maul snapped. He fought like someone with nothing to lose. Force Rage pushes a Sith's body to the edge. They hit harder, move faster, and ignore pain. But here's the thing, rage is a blade that cuts both ways. Burn too long, and it consumes you. It's not about precision. It's about overwhelming your enemy before your own body gives out. But when a Sith gives into Force Rage, that's their message. They're done playing safe. They'll burn out if they have to, as long as you fall with them. Number 7. Force Fear. This ability isn't loud, it doesn't need to be, and doesn't leave bruises. It leaves scars. Not every Sith needed lightning, monsters, or sabers. Some could end battles before they even started, using only fear. They just whisper into your mind and let your own nightmares do the killing. Force Fear, sometimes called Force Horror, attacks the mind. It fills enemies with panic, hallucinations, and overwhelming dread. It's not just intimidation, it's domination through the subconscious. In the Clone Wars series, when Yoda explores Moribund, he faces Force-induced visions so powerful that even he, the Grand Master himself, stumbles. That's what makes Force Fear dangerous. It doesn't matter how strong you are physically. If your mind breaks, your body follows. Darth Bane. weaponized Force fear to the point where entire armies would retreat just from sensing his presence. In the Old Republic, Sith Lords frequently used Force fear to paralyze their targets, cause illusions of failure, or even make enemies turn against each other. Force fear doesn't just exploit weakness, it creates it. Even their strongest warrior can fall when their mind collapses, and in the hands of a master, it could bring about the end of a life. Force fear reminds us that the greatest battles are fought in the mind. Number 8. Force destruction. When Force choke wasn't enough, when Force lightning was too precise, the Sith turned to pure annihilation. Force destruction is exactly what it sounds like. This is an ability of creating a concentrated mass of dark side energy into a sphere of volatile power and hurling it toward anything or anyone in the way they want to erase out of existence. Darth Malak wielded this ability in the Knights of the Old Republic during the Jedi Civil War, leveling entire structures when brute force was the only answer. So did Darth Bane in the Rule of Two novel, unleashing it in underground duels when he needed something that could incinerate force barriers and reduce solid stone to dust. Ancient Sith like Marka Ragnos and Naga Sato also mastered this technique, using it to break fortresses and destroy entire armies in a single devastating blast. Unlike most force powers that require precision, force destruction erases entirely. Yeah, it's dramatic, but that's the whole point. Force destruction is the Sith equivalent of flipping the table and ending the game. You don't use this move unless you've committed to total chaos. Force destruction is the dark side's answer to war. These abilities define the Sith. What comes next was never meant to be taught.